Hello and welcome to healthyhouseplants.com, where we teach you all about gardening in the great indoors. Today we're going to talk about how to humidify your houseplants. There's actually 3 ways to humidify your houseplants. There is a 4th way, but these are 3 of the easiest ways, and I will mention the 4th way as well. And today's video is sponsored by our Amazon affiliate link, which you can see just below. Okay, so how to humidify your houseplants. Well, first of all, what I'd like to talk about is why humidify your houseplants. One of the main reasons why you want to humidify your houseplants is that most houseplants are actually native to the jungles, and a lot of them the jungle floor. Well, the jungle floor is extremely humid. Most homes are not all that humid. And humidity will vary, not only between your geographic location. For instance, if you're in the Southwest, you're pretty dry. If you're in the South, and I'm talking United States here, you're pretty moist. You're in South America, you're pretty moist. Some other climates, you're going to be pretty dry. So think about this. If houseplants are growing naturally, a lot of them, on the jungle floors where it's 100% humidity, if they're in a house that's 30% humidity, they're not going to be all that happy. So that's where you want to add a little extra humidity. Some plants are a lot more susceptible to getting upset about not having enough humidity as others. There are some plants that really do need the humidity, and then there are others that will get by and be okay with it. But just so you know, a sign of not enough humidity will be brown leaf tips. I'm looking around here to see if I find any, and not seeing any right now, but oh, here we go. A little bit on this Dracaena. So you can see that's a brown leaf tip. A lot of times that is a sign of not insufficient humidity. However, it can also be a sign of high salt buildup, which I have another video on, and it can also be a sign of insufficient watering. So you have to kind of rule out. But say you rule out, okay, I'm watering correctly, and I know that the soil doesn't have high salt. I've recently repotted. It's looking good. Then suspect the humidity problem. Okay. So what do you do? Well, first of all, it's good to know what the humidity in your house is. So with that being said, it's great if you can use a hygrometer. This is a hygrometer here. And this shows the top number here is the temperature right now. And the bottom number there is the humidity. So we've got 63% humidity. I am in Southern California, and we do have rain on its way. That's why this is a lot higher. A lot of the times, however, my humidity will usually be around 40%, sometimes even lower than that. It can dip down to 20% when we get really hot and dry, and that's when the problems come. So I would suggest getting a hygrometer, and you see the humidity just dipped a little bit as I moved it away. A nice hygrometer, and they're not that expensive, they will tell you the humidity, and they register really quickly. So one of the reasons why I have a little bit higher humidity here too is because I have them with a lot of houseplants. And that is one of the things you can do to increase humidity. And if you group your houseplants, they humidify each other. So what happens is houseplants they perspire. I mean, we perspire, and houseplants transpire. So when they transpire, they give off humidity. When they give off humidity, they are essentially losing the moisture in their leaves, but at the same time, what they're doing is they are humidifying each other. So that means that the more houseplants you have, the higher humidity will be, and the more likely they will be to humidify each other. So a nice grouping like this is going to have lots of humidity. So if you have anyone asking you why you have so many houseplants, you can tell them, well, because they need to humidify each other. They need each other. Okay, so that being said, what do you want to do then? Otherwise, what other things can you do? Say you don't have that many houseplants, or you live in a really dry climate, and time of year also affects. Didn't mention that. So in the wintertime, if you live in a climate in the wintertime where it's pretty cold, you've got the heater on a lot, that dries up the air like crazy. The same thing happens when you have air conditioning going on. Air conditioning also dries up the air. So that will also lower the humidity depending on time of year. Okay, so say it's winter, which it is right now, it's pretty dry for you. You want to add a little additional humidity to your plants. Great. So how can you do that? Well, I did mention the fourth thing that I generally don't recommend, but it's up to you. But a humidifier in your home will obviously humidify your plants. A lot of people, for different other reasons, would prefer not to do that. But I do want to mention that. Okay, so one way is to mist your houseplants. And misting works really well to mist them pretty quickly. So if you feel like things are pretty dry, you want to mist, what you want to do is use a spray bottle, though, with a very fine mist. You can see this is a really fine mist. You wouldn't want big water droplets dropping all over the place. It would humidify, but it's also going to make a big mess, and it's really not going to do what you want it to do. Okay, so great. So misting is good. However, you do need to mist a few times a day. So this isn't something you can do once a week. Misting my houseplants, they're all good for a week. They won't be. Because soon, within a half an hour, maybe an hour after misting, all the effects are gone and you need to remist, especially if it's really dry. So you would want to do this with a plant that actually has, that does need a lot of misting and is in an area and you have where you pass by a lot, you're going to remember it, and also where you can keep the mister and mist it. So say you're walking by, you mist the plant. Later on that day, you mist the plant, okay? And another thing you can do too is you can put plants in places that do have higher humidity. One of the places in most homes that has the highest humidity would be the bathroom, but it's the same kind of principle. When you take a shower, it's essentially going to mist your plant for you, but later on, the hours in between showering, it's not going to. So just keep that in mind as well. Also, make sure your bathroom has sufficient lighting for whatever plant it is that you have growing in there. Okay, the third way that you can create humidity for your plants is with a humidity tray. And a humidity tray, I do have a video on how to make one, but you'll see here that I have some water there, and the water is just below the top of the marbles of what I have in there. You can also use gravel, anything that's going to create something like that where you can put water just below the surface. So you wouldn't want the water coming up above because you don't want the plant sitting in water. What happens with that is as the water evaporates, it will humidify the plant. So that is another great way. Now, obviously, if you have a lot of issues with needing more humidity, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure to do all three of these. Get lots of houseplants. Go ahead and spray them, mist them on a regular basis, and do humidity trays for the ones, especially the ones that really need it. And then you will have houseplants that are really vibrant and healthy and happy. Thank you for watching this video and learning all about gardening in the great indoors. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video.